Have you ever played soccer in a nearly deserted soccer field? Would you dare to play on a basketball court where something is waiting? Or are you brave enough to play on a hockey field where eyes are watching you? Sports help people become stronger, train their will and physical strength. But there are training grounds, running paths, or swimming pools that are not simply places to practice. They also contain creepy mysteries that no one dares to mention. Today I will tell you 4 true horror stories that happened in the world of sports. Stories that may make you think twice about playing sports in deserted places. Stay until the end, because the last story may make you never dare to practice alone again. For Story 1, the baseball stalkers. Growing up in the country, my friends and I loved playing baseball. We had a secluded clearing in the woods with a baseball field and a basketball court. It was our hidden gem off a dead-end dirt road surrounded by dense woods. When we were 11 or 12, our parents were very permissive, allowing us to roam unsupervised. One Friday night in July, as the sun was setting and our game was about to end, 2 friends in the yard pointed out a group of 6 men walking into the clearing. They looked to be in their 20s or 30s, not exactly gang-like, but definitely intimidating. They sat on a bench, watching us and making noise. We decided to pack up and leave, feeling uncomfortable under their gaze. We exchanged nervous handshakes and headed outside. I usually walk home alone because my house is in a different direction. My friend Jordan escorted me to the dirt road before we parted ways. When I was alone, the woods became darker and every sound startled me. I kept a flashlight in my baseball bag, but the noises made my heart race. Suddenly, I heard laughter and shouting from men. I hurried, but a few baseballs fell out of my bag. I cursed under my breath, fumbling with the flashlight to find them. That's when I heard a branch snap behind me. Turning around, I shined my light and saw a tall man in a black hooded sweatshirt, his face obscured, coming closer. Panic surged through me as he broke into a run. I dropped everything and sprinted toward the distant lights of my house. My yelling for my parents must have startled him because he turned and ran. My parents were devastated when I told them what had happened, calling all my friends' parents to make sure everyone was safe. Jordan was also followed for a short while, but managed to run home. That night was the end of our adventure in that field. Our parents never allowed us to go there again, and the incident haunted me. Even now, living in the same house, I feel uneasy knowing that those men knew where I lived. Story 2. Abandoned soccer field. Our high school soccer team was practicing on the field as usual, preparing for a big game. It was late fall, and the chill in the air was a clear reminder that winter was approaching. Our coach, Mr. Peterson, was pushing us harder than ever, determined to make sure we were in top form. "Okay, team, one more practice," he barked, his breath visible in the cold air. We groaned but kept going, our breath forming misty clouds in the chill air. As the sun dipped below the horizon, a thick fog began to roll in, covering the field in an eerie white mist. It was the kind of fog that seemed to swallow sound, making everything eerily quiet. The trees around the field stood like silent sentinels. "Coach, I can't see anything," I said, squinting into the mist. "Shouldn't we call it a night?" Mr. Peterson shook his head. "We're not stopping now, just a little longer. Focus on your drills." My teammate Jason was chasing a ball when he suddenly stopped. "Hey guys, look," he called, pointing toward the edge of the woods. We all turned to look at a dilapidated barn partially obscured by mist and trees. It was a structure none of us had ever seen before. The old walls and broken windows gave it a gloomy, haunted appearance. What's that thing doing there? I asked, shaking. Jason, ever the curious one, took a few steps toward the shed. I don't know, but it looks abandoned. Let's check it out. Are you serious? Sarah, another teammate, said, her voice laced with concern. It's probably just some old shed. Okay, don't go near it. Mr. Peterson warned. Let's just get it done, and then we'll go back. As dusk fell, the fog thickened. The temperature seemed to drop even further, and the air became more stifling. Practice ended, and while most of the team packed up, Jason and a few others lingered behind, determined to retrieve the ball that had rolled into the wood. Jason glanced at me nervously. Come on, just look. We'll be in and out in no time. Okay, but hurry, I replied, feeling just as nervous. We ventured toward the warehouse, our footsteps obscured by the thick fog. The old building came into view, the door ajar, a flickering light barely visible inside. Jason cautiously approached the door. Did anyone hear that? It sounded like whispering. As I strained my ears, hearing faint, indistinguishable whispers. It's probably just the wind. Jason pushed the door open a crack and peered inside. I don't know, man. I see something there. Before anyone could react, the door slammed shut with a deafening bang. Jason's terrified scream echoed through the fog. Jason, I yelled and pounded on the door. Open the door. The whispers inside grew louder, almost as if they were reacting to our panic. The air grew colder and my heart pounded in my chest. Jason, are you okay? Talk to us. Sarah's voice trembled. From inside the warehouse, Jason's deep voice drifted through the door. Guys, I can't see anything. It's too dark. I hear... The whispers became chaotic, filling the air with an uneasy sense of urgency. Hold on, Jason. We're getting you out, he yelled, trying to open the door. It wouldn't budge. After what seemed like an eternity, the door creaked open and Jason stumbled out, his face pale and his eyes wide with fear. They were moving, shadows and whispers like they were calling my name. He stammered, his voice barely above a whisper. Mr. Peterson and the rest of the group rushed. What happened? Mr. Peterson asked, looking around nervously. There were shadows, Jason explained, his voice shaking. It was in whispers. I saw an eye peeking through the crack. It felt like something was watching me. Let's get out of here, Mr. Peterson said, his voice firm. We're done for the night. As we gathered our things and headed back into the field, the fog began to clear, but the feeling of dread remained. The old barn was nowhere to be seen. It was as if it had never existed. When we later told others about our experience, many were skeptical, blaming it on fog and imagination. But Jason's story spread, and local legends about the abandoned barn grew, becoming a haunting chapter in our football field's history. To this day, the field is a place of stories and wary glances, especially after dark. Story 3. The Invasion of Basketball. I played basketball in high school, not because I was good, but to look good on my college resume. One night during an unimportant home game, we were losing badly when a kid on the opposing team started bad-mouthing me, making fun of my figure and hair. His comments became increasingly nasty, and after missing another shot and hearing his witty remark, I snapped. I pushed him hard, sending him sliding off the court. The referee blew the whistle and ejected me from the game. Undeterred, I stormed past my coach to the locker room. When I got to the locker room, I found the door locked, not wanting to face my coach again. I walked out and around to the back entrance, which was strangely open. When I entered, I was met with an eerie coldness and darkness. The lights were off, and I didn't have my phone to use as a flashlight. As I groped along the wall, I heard the annoying sound of lockers closing. I called out, hoping for a teammate, but there was no response. The darkness wasn't absolute. I could vaguely make out shapes, As I cautiously walked down the locker aisles, footsteps echoed around me, confirming that I wasn't alone. At the last aisle, I caught a glimpse of a large figure darting behind the lockers. My heart pounded, and I decided to leave and wait for the game to end. But when I reached the main entrance, it was also locked from the inside. Finding the light switch next to the door, I flipped it on, and the fluorescent lights came on. Encouraged by the light, I decided to confront whoever was in the locker room. I walked around the aisles but saw no one, although I could still hear footsteps, always in the next aisle. As I grew more desperate, I noticed small holes in the lockers, perfect for peeking through. I knelt down and peered into one of them. At first it was dark, then I realized I was looking into another eye. Terrified, I dashed out the back door, running faster than I had ever run in a game. I found my coach panting and told him about the intruder. He believed me and paused the game to investigate. But by then the locker room was empty, except for the cold air and the open back door. 4 teammates later discovered their clothes missing from the freshman locker aisle. I shuddered at the thought of the kind of person I had encountered, and I was just grateful I hadn't met him face to face. Story 4. Meeting the hockey rink. Driving my 13-year-old brother to his hockey games and practices was a regular affair. His team played at an outdoor rink, which made the weather especially cold. One evening, bored with the cold and the lopsided game, my girlfriend Michelle and I decided to wander into the nearby woods for a smoke. The woods, known locally as the Burning Woods, were dense and dark. We found a secluded spot behind a few trees, smoked, and sat down. A moment later, we heard footsteps approaching. Quickly putting away our lighters and pipes, we saw 2 men emerge from the shadows. One had a cliched green mohawk. The other was a bald guy with a goatee. The mohawk smiled and asked if we had enough for 2 more. Instinctively, I wanted to tell them to leave us alone, but my word said otherwise. "Yeah, I guess," I said, hating my cowardice. The mohawk, seeing our reluctance. Michelle shrugged, but I knew she was as nervous as I was. We declined, heading back to the rink. As we walked, I kept glancing back, noticing the mohawk following us. Michelle lit her pipe again, but I heard footsteps rustling the leaves nearby. I signaled to her, and we both turned to see the mohawk peeking from behind a tree. My nervousness grew. We decided to head back to the safety of the bleachers. As we walked, I heard the sound of a stick breaking nearby. I pulled Michelle faster, feeling the boys' eyes on us. When we reached the rink lights, I turned and saw them standing at the edge of the tree line. A third man now with them, half hidden under a tree. "No thanks, we're fine," I called, not daring to turn around. We headed back to the stands, the comfort of the others calming us down a bit. The game ended with my brother's team losing 9-5. As we were about to leave, my brother stayed behind to talk to his coach, and the parking lot was nearly empty. As we drove out, I saw a car tailing us, honking its horn. It was definitely them. My heart was pounding until we saw a police car parked on a side street. We stopped and explained our situation. The officer nodded but didn't chase the car. I was still upset that the police weren't taking the incident seriously, and every day since then, I've been afraid that something might happen if we don't get it to safety.